Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Motch. My company, BMC Networks, is an outsourced IT department for law firms. This is part of an ongoing series of webinars on topics of interest to our law firm clients. And today I'm very excited to introduce our guest speaker. Susan Van Dyke is one of the most experienced legal marketing professionals in Canada. She and her team help law firms and lawyers advance their goals with successful strategic insight and tactical methods. Van Dyke Marketing provides marketing, communications, management consulting, and recruitment for law firms. Susan is a regular speaker at retreats and association events on a variety of legal management topics. And she's here on a hot Vancouver day to talk to us about marketing. So over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Brian, and thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. For those of us in Vancouver on the West Coast, oh my gosh, it's hot. Brian and I talked yesterday, and it was like 36 degrees in my office, and I thought, I'm going to sweat through this whole presentation. It's a little bit better today, so I hope you're all feeling comfortable, and perhaps you're in air-conditioned offices. So thanks again, Brian. This is going to be fun. This is one of my favorite topics. We only have 30 minutes, 25 minutes or so, and that's my challenge, is to get through 15 slides, to share with you what I've sort of seen during the pandemic, how we can recalibrate our marketing, what our learnings are, and also technology, which is, I won't even say it's an emerging area of interest for marketing, because it's been an area of interest for quite some years, but it's exciting to see it starting to really accelerate this last little while. Before we begin, a couple quick things. Brian's taking questions, I think. So I think, Brian, they just go into the chat and put in questions, and Brian will catch them and interrupt me and fire those into the presentation so that we get you what you need before the session is over. This is going to be pretty ambitious in 30 minutes, so I might go a little bit quickly. So there will be a recording if you need to go back and look at anything. I also am happy to share the slide decks. So get in touch with me reach out to me if the slide deck is something that you'd like me to send through. Plus I have another little gift for you at the end as well. So here we go. And hopefully the technology works just fine. It should. I've got Brian helping me here. Okay, so recalibrate. What's that?
Tech support is here.
Tech support is here. It's online. We're talking about recalibrating your 2021 marketing into 2022, thinking about what's changed over the last little while. I'm going to try as best I can to avoid telling you things that you already know, but there's some context that I need to pull in occasionally to bring some sense to what I'm recommending and what we're talking about. This is also not a comprehensive session. This is my choosing what I think is most relevant and interesting right now, but I'm not covering everything. We've only got a few minutes. So to get us started, thinking about where to focus. And the focus is really about protecting and growing your firm's business. So a couple quick things. The pandemic created a reset for what's important. I think we've all seen that personally and professionally. Firms are now focused on clients like never before. And that, as a marketing professional, is really very exciting. Higher needs of clients in times of stress. You know, we've all been sharing what we've been going through, and there's certainly higher needs. Clients are caring more about affordability. So we're having more conversations about rates that we haven't had before, to the extent that we have had before. They're not as interested in our impressive offices. So that's been kind of interesting. There's been a lot of conversations at kitchen tables via Zoom and Teams. And the formality of what law was, I think, has really dialed back quite a bit lately. And other firms, as always, are targeting your clients and prospective clients. So always know that the best, juiciest clients around are probably on somebody's radar who has a marketing professional, particularly in-house, if not a consultant that they're working with. There's two things I really want to focus on today. There's a lot of changes from the pandemic. There's two main areas that I want to call out today where we're going to recalibrate and lean in to shore up our firms and to protect it and to perhaps grow our firms. The two things are, one, relationships have deepened. And the second is technology and the acceleration of technology. So first I'll talk quickly about relationships. Brian might like to weigh in on the technology side, of course. Internally and externally, we've seen relationships deepen and change and advance. Across all firms, there have been more check-ins, more sensitivity towards our people, more sensitivity towards our clients. We've had discussions about challenges and needs where we probably haven't had those discussions before. And that's probably a good thing in many respects. Probably makes some of our lawyers a little bit uncomfortable occasionally. Our work in recruitment and strategic planning, I will tell you, we've received more calls this year from senior lawyers and partners looking to exit big law, more than any other period I've experienced in 25 years working in legal management. So it's been very interesting on that front as well. There's been a real reset and examination of what is meaningful. Externally, it's fair to assume that clients are also evaluating the value of the relationships with counsel as well. We saw law firms respond by deploying marketing and event specialists to business development efforts, client care, client retention, and a direct response to in-person activities coming to a halt, but protecting revenue sources as legal budgets and clients were unstable. So what did we see? We saw a lot of coaching from our legal marketing professionals, tons of content creation, webinars, and so on. And I'll say some lawyers actually got a master's class in connecting with clients in a way that they haven't had to before. So that's relationships, the acceptance of technology. Brian, I'm sure could do a whole presentation on this. We're going to talk about this in depth as well. What I will quickly say is legal professionals rank technology as a high priority in their firm's success. It can influence dramatic results in improving resilience. We've seen that. I also want to share with you, a few years ago, I saw a study of CMOs, chief marketing officers in the US, I think it was all in the US, who indicated at that time, now this is probably 2018, 2019, that at that time, they expected to have a higher projected spend in technology than their chief technology officers had in their budgets. So marketing was looking at spending more on technology than the technology officers themselves, which I thought was really interesting. Brian, maybe you've seen some changes in what you've been up to in the last 16 months or so?
Absolutely. The pandemic's been a catalyst for change in technology. Law firms have been operating with the same software and using the same technology for many decades. And the pandemic and working from home really drove home some what I'll call modernization of IT that's happened in other industries over the last 10 to 20 years. For lawyers, it's the drive for remote access and by extension, cloud computing. Most of law is based on, legal technology is based on servers and server-based applications. We're now seeing strong interest in cloud-based applications, which takes the remote out of remote access. That is to say, it's just access from wherever you are. Whatever your device you're using, wherever you are, you're just accessing the system.
And thanks, Brian. And I think that's here to stay, because I think what we're looking at now is a hybrid model of working, and the in-person bricks and mortar fancy offices are not valued by clients as they might have been in the past. So technology is here to stay for sure. So when we talk about it getting personal, deepening relationships, I want to quickly kind of review what's new and how we can adapt or continue to adapt or continue to evolve. So what's new? We've seen your home, we've met your pets, we've met your kids. We discussed personal matters, even mental health. I had somebody very recently talk to me about their mental health and making a significant decision based on disclosed mental health issues, which was new for me and interesting, and I respected it and admired it greatly. But these conversations are happening more openly now. We also have more insight into you and your company, because hopefully we've been having those conversations about what are you up against? How are you managing the pandemic? How's it going? So the client expectations are shifting. They want us to reveal ourselves. They want your lawyers to reveal themselves more. They want to work with lawyers that they know and like. That was present pre-pandemic. It's even more so now. Now that we've revealed ourselves, that those relationships and that level of engagement should continue. They want us to stay nimble and flexible to meet their needs. So they might have talked to us about fees. They might have talked to us about timelines, responsiveness. That nimble response is going to be ever more part of your competitive advantage, I would say, and part of your client retention strategy. They want us to share knowledge and learnings. That's ongoing, but the content creation, the webinars, that's just, over the top, and clients are consuming it. So I think that should continue as well. And again, they don't need in-person meetings. That's not something that they're always looking for. And they know now that Zoom works, Teams works. So we want to help your lawyers focus on key clients. We want to build what I call client intimacy through listening and responding to needs. And we've done that pre-pandemic, but it's even more so now than ever because it's become more personal. Key client focus. This is your key client. This is not all your clients. These are your, and you get to decide who's a key client. It could be your clients with the greatest potential. It could be your most profitable clients. It could be the clients that you enjoy working with the most. It could be a number of reasons. That's up for you to decide, but key clients are usually, you know, very small in number, and you have strategic imperatives around activities to keep those clients close. And you're asking questions like, what matters most? Where's the friction? What's going well, and how can we do better? And there's all kinds of tools. We work in this space in client interviews, and we also work in this space as it relates to all of your clients, just not as intensified. In 2019, the Legal Marketing Association, we in Western Canada at that time, because we're now Canada-wide region, and Western Canada region in 2019, we did a GC panel, and we invited Lululemon, Mogo, Impart, Coast Capital Savings to tell us what they were looking for from their law firms. And it's always a great listening exercise to hear directly from the client. And these are just some of the things that they told us, which a lot of it relates to emotional intelligence. We need to bring our emotional intelligence into a file, that clients lay awake at night worrying about things. So the coaching of lawyers really must be ongoing. It's not a seasonal, occasional thing. It really must be ongoing until they take flight on their own. And some do. Some are really great at that. Now, when we think about your clients as a larger group, the biggest piece of technology that's going to make the greatest impact on your marketing is a CRM system, a client relationship management system, which is a database, an expanded database for your clients. And it has usually a lot of different bells and whistles that help us track client activity and client interests. What I will say, it's not a platform. It's not something that you hire Brian and his team to come in and put in place for you. Well, they might do that as well. It's an ongoing feeding and watering of your CRM system to keep your data hygiene at a very high level. So it's something that you integrate into all of your marketing. And I tell you, it will bring you the greatest return on investment your firm will ever have with respect to marketing, maybe except for your website. It will help inform marketing strategies. It'll keep clients close, and you'll be able to track their interests. So it's a tool that you can use to see what they're engaged with, and then build strategies to understand what else your clients and prospective clients want to consume. So you'll understand open rates, clicking on contacts. You'll be able to circle. The biggest part of this, actually, or one half of it, is circling back to your lawyers and presenting analytics and data to them, showing them how the CRM tool actually worked, how many people clicked on an article that they wrote, how many people clicked on a seminar that they wanted to attend but didn't actually show up for, but they had an interest in it. There's a lot of different ways in which you can use a CRM system, and quite often they will connect with your accounting software so they can talk to one another. Before I go any further, examples of good CRM systems for small firms, I get this question a lot, and Brian and I have talked about this as well. There's 3 off the top that I would recommend you look at. I know Brian's agnostic, I'm agnostic, it doesn't matter, it really has to fit for your firm and your budget. MailChimp is a pretty good one. It'll connect with your website and it will capture emails. HubSpot is decent, and there's a free version of HubSpot, which is a good starting point. And ContactEase out of the States is developed by a friend of mine. That's not why I'm recommending it, but it's a great tool, and it's really good for the small and mid-sized firm space. So there's 3 to consider.
Susan?
Yeah.
You mentioned data hygiene earlier.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on what that is?
Oh, good question, Brian. So garbage in, garbage out, right? If somebody is not taking the care in putting in Brian's correct spelling of his last name, which you got to pay attention to, if he continues to get invitations with the incorrect spelling of his last name, it erodes the client relationship, actually. Because then probably finally Brian shows up to your firm for a webinar and his name is misspelled on his name tag because your database is generating the name tags. So good data hygiene means taking care that good data goes in so that good data comes out. And it is probably, if you're going to get a CRM system, one of the most important things is to ensure that you have the resources, which is typically a human person, to ensure that the data hygiene is at a good standard. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for getting that clarification.
Oh, could you repeat the CRM systems? Nikki had
The
a question.
CRM systems, there's three. So there's Contact Ease, which is probably the largest of the solutions. There's MailChimp, which is one word, and there's HubSpot. Those three are three that I would recommend as a starting point. I'm not aligned to any one, but that's a good starting point. You'll probably find a solution in there somewhere. Some of the others, many others that are good for small businesses, but they sit outside, they're not specific to law. They're not as specific to law. Actually, MailChimp and HubSpot are not specific to law, but they have good workarounds. Contact Ease is specific to law, so you'll be able to put in your industry, you'll be able to put in lawyer names, you'll be able to connect a lot of things. So, and you also want to make sure you choose a system that is scalable for your firm. So if you know that you are expanding, growing, acquiring other firms, hiring more lawyers, you probably want a system that can scale up with your needs. So if you're going to invest not just the upfront time and energy into a system, you want to also make sure that it's going to serve you well in 5 years' time. Okay. So then flipping over to accounting, you have a bulk of data already sitting in your firm, in your system. And when I join a firm or go inside a firm or work closely with a firm, I make friends with two people. One is the librarian, and the second is accounting and IT. Actually, there's three characters that I like
I was going to say,
and get
you got to
really
make
close
friends
to,
with them.
you know, for very different reasons. All three of them for very different reasons. So the accounting data is where you can combine your CRM client data with your existing financial systems to round out your client profile. And when you do that, you start to see patterns emerge for your client opportunities and prospective client opportunities. And also you need to help marketing understand the data of your accounting system. Not all legal marketers have had that opportunity to see accounting data. I know when I've been in positions to lead teams, I have always made accounting data available to my teams and have trained them how to use that data to inform strategy. So that's a really important component to the analytics that a marketing professional should use. And the last thing I'll say about data is law firm economics is an important component to marketing. And I've done a lot of presentations on law firm economics I did a tour through Alberta last year. I've gone to Toronto and Vancouver, and the aha moments of my colleagues were really a lot of fun to witness. Okay. So we're now going to move over to technology, and I have some nice, what's our time? We got 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Okay. We have some nice nuggets here, or I have some nice nuggets here for you in technology and how its use has accelerated. And Brian's probably seen this. I have some stats here from Clio. Clio, for those that don't know Clio, they're happen to be a Vancouver-based legal technology company, and they do a trends report every year. And their 2020 trends report indicated the future use of legal technology is going to go beyond the pandemic. So Brian, you've probably seen these numbers actually surprised me, 95, 96% of people who are going to be using technology beyond the pandemic. Did this surprise you, Brian?
No, not at all. Law societies and lawyers are now wrapping their minds around cloud-based applications and storage of data. And what tells me that this shift to cloud computing is inevitable is that there is basically no software development happening right now on old legacy server-based applications. All software development is being placed on cloud right now. So if your application is on a server and that vendor has not even started developing they're not going to. They've decided to just wrap it up, and it's time to start looking for a cloud-based alternative.
That's interesting. That makes me a bit nervous about that. Yeah. And I'm also wondering about cybersecurity, because a lot of, especially smaller firms who maybe didn't have an IT person in-house had to pivot very quickly to work at home. So the cybersecurity piece is always a constant worry. So the trends report, what I took from this slide in particular, online payments, I know Brian and I have talked briefly about that. Online payments is becoming emerging again. I know there was a time when firms were looking at online payments using their websites for clients to use to pay their legal bills. That's coming up again. I've noticed recently. That's something to look at as a small firm if you're up for that. And having the option to meet remotely with their lawyer will always be, I think from now until the end of time, will always be something that helps us with good client experiences, to give them that option. Videos now are as easy as phone calls, and there's no reason for us not to actually do a video call, in my view. Okay, so tech tools. So getting into some of the cool things I just really quickly wanted to share with you. I know we all know about social media. I know we all have an appreciation for what it can do, but there's been a huge increase in engagement in social media in the last 16 months. It's been really embraced for business development, for research, for news, for entertainment. What's changed is more authentic and more personal, less branded communications, less formal, more conversational, maybe through messaging and other means of actually having a conversation with someone. And the content itself is more valued than production. On the marketing side, we tend to concern ourselves a lot with production. And what I'd say is better to get the content out, as long as it's accurate and in a readable format, than spend a lot of time and energy on the production value, the colors, the formatting, the images, and so on. Not to say it's not important, but it's less important than what it was. Video consumption continues to be very high. So if you're up for doing video, do video. And another little piece, which I love the term of this, it's called snackable content. Snackable content, small bite-sized pieces of content, which we've seen through Instagram Reels, TikTok. I know we're not using many of those, and not many firms I know are using those platforms, but I think it's coming. And snackable content is something, it's very easy for your lawyers to produce. And it gives you the digital footprint that you're looking for to feed your SEO, your search engine optimization strategies. And if you don't have one, that's another thing to look up, is your SEO strategy for your firm. I'm just going to move on here. Social media for all firms, I'm going to say that there are 5. So LinkedIn, really important. LinkedIn for groups, also important. Go and engage. Don't just lurk, go and engage. Facebook groups, really a great space there for, I know a lot of us don't like Facebook, or some of us don't like Facebook for professional purposes, but there's some really good groups on Facebook. Instagram is emerging as well. And one of my newest favorites that Brian and I actually met on, and Colin Cameron, who may be on this call, my strategic partner in all things strategic planning, we get to go and play on Clubhouse. And if you haven't heard about Clubhouse, this is a little shot of, it's only on the phone, it's not on a desktop. So we use, it's a mobile application. And on the left is my bio, and it's all things icons and all things, you know, lively and fun. And on the right was a snapshot of some of the sessions that were available a couple days ago in what we call rooms. So Brian, I know you and I have been on the stage together, which means you're either participating as a listener, it's all audio, no visual. So when you go into Clubhouse, it's like podcast after podcast, and they're described as rooms. And those on the stage, and you can have many, many people on the stage, along with moderators or hosts, and you do it by topic. So we could have this presentation as a Clubhouse room, and I could invite Brian up, or Brian would invite me up, and we would have a chat, which sounds much like what we're doing now, except for the slides. So Brian, I don't know if you want to chime in on that at all, but that's a really fun space to go and play in.
Sure. Well, you and Colin have done a great job of establishing a presence on Clubhouse and creating clubs and inviting people and just speaking on topics of interest. When I try to describe an audio-only social media to people, I describe it as an old party line. Do you remember those old phone numbers? That was a party line? You know, at one part of a neighborhood would share a phone line. And that's kind of what it'd be like. You'd get on the call. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to reach out across the country, across North America, across the world.
And not only is it fun and it's a great playground, but it's actually a great place for business development and to raise profile. I've had quite a lot of people that have come off Clubhouse onto other platforms, email, phone calls. I know Colin and I have had a video meeting with one person we met earlier this week. So it's actually a good ground for business development. And I checked my Clubhouse app this morning, and it's by invitation only. I will quickly just tell you there's 10 million weekly active users, up from 600,000 December 2020. So in a year and a half, that right? Yeah, in a year and a half, it's gone from 600,000. So it's more than doubled. It's gone from 600,000 to 10 million. And thousands of lawyers have joined. There's a lot of people that you might know on there already. If you want an invitation, I can send you an invitation. I think I have 7 right now. You get them slowly. You earn your invitations, and I have 7. I'm very happy to give them to anybody on this call who wants an invitation. But come and play with us if we give you an invitation. That would be fun.
I have 7 or 8 as well, if people want to hit me up.
Oh, okay. We could cover
Susan,
this whole audience.
I have a question from Helena. Would you say that legal posts on social media need to be relatable to clients, less legal jargon, and more of a lawyer's take on a situation?
Yeah, well, again, it depends on your audience. Great question. Depends on your audience. If you're speaking to other lawyers, then of course you can use the language that resonates with them. But social media is meant to be social. It's meant to be accessible. It's meant to be engaging. And the way that we do that is to speak in plain language. And Brian just demonstrated that by asking me to clarify the data hygiene comment that I made so that my communication to you is more accessible. We always want to present ourselves as somebody who is easy to understand and easy to work with. So absolutely. Helena, thanks for that question. Anything else, Brian?
Not right now.
Okay. This is a really cool emerging thing, and I'm going to wrap up really quickly in case there's other questions, is voice search. I don't know if anyone's heard about this. 46% of users platform voice searches use platform voice searches to look up information on local businesses on a daily basis. So what this means is Google Voice Search is a function that allows us to search the web using spoken voice commands, right? So the trend is gaining serious traction. I just did some research this morning on it. And why that's important to us is if your website isn't utilizing best practices for SEO, search engine optimization, there will be a significant catch up. So it's another reason to make sure that you are doing some SEO work on your website so that when it does catch up, and we know that these things can catch us by surprise and very quickly. So that's important. The second thing I'll say about voice search, and the LMA is doing, I'm the programming chair for LMA Canada. We're doing a session on this in the fall. I think it's in October, and you're welcome to join us. There might be a small fee, but come and join us because we're going to have a panel on voice search with some expertise on that for us all to learn more about this. The one thing to take away on this, though, is the right person answering the calls that come from voice search, because quite often they're phoning through to your firm, not using a web-based form. The right person answering the phone is really, really important. The conversion of clients on phone is much higher than the conversion, generally speaking, on web forms. So it's important that you have the right person answering the phone. My final, probably Brian, after all that, maybe Brian, this is our favorite tip, right? Would that be fair?
Absolutely.
Because we're so excited. Brian's like, oh, I'm so glad you're talking about Canva. If you don't know about Canva, and this is just a shot of my homepage in Canva, which is CANVA. It is a very user-friendly design tool that you can drop in your logo, drop in your colors for your firm, drop in images, drop in any visual assets that you have, and you can create really cool posts for social media, things for your website, promotional things. I mean, you can do cool stuff with your lawyer's photos, announcing them, becoming a partner, all kinds of things. So go and have a look at Canva. I think there's a free, version of Canva, and go and play with it because it could save you a lot of time and angst, or get your designers to use it, and then you can pull assets off there and use them as you like.
Cheap as chips and really easy to use.
It's super easy, super easy. So just quickly, finally, I have a tip sheet of 6 small firm marketing tips at the ready. And if anybody wants those 6 tips, come and email me at that address, or give me a phone call, and I'll be happy to share that with you. And I'm also happy to share this slide deck because I know I went really quickly, and want to make sure that you get all the nuggets that you can from your invested time in these 30 minutes. I saw a lot of familiar names on the registration list. I want to thank everybody for coming. I don't know if we're right at 1 o'clock, Brian, so I don't know if you have any questions.
We have 2 more questions. Maybe we can fit them in. Stephen missed the 5th platform: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, and
LinkedIn groups, Facebook,
LinkedIn groups,
Instagram, and Clubhouse. Is that 5?
Okay, so LinkedIn is different from LinkedIn groups.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
and a different approach. All right, Dean, thank you for tuning in. Dean's got a great question. What's one way you measure success in legal marketing?
Oh, there's lots. Well, I think developing business, and it's very hard to correlate any one thing to revenue generation. But I think if you are engaging in marketing and revenues increase over time, a year or two, that's one indication marketing is working. Another indication is that your lawyers are engaging in marketing activities where they haven't before. So one way that we do that in our team, excuse me, is to do marketing, very practical, very action-oriented plans for individual lawyers, and we help coach them through the year on actually ticking off all the things that they're going to do during the year. And that alone is success, getting people to produce content, speak at webinars, engage with clients. So actions are success, revenues are success, analytics are success. Look at your Google Analytics. Look at who's coming to your website. If you have an uptick, even, you know, when we post for clients on LinkedIn, for instance, and we're trying to promote something, or a new lawyer has joined, or we're trying to drum up some business in an area of law, we can see, and you can as well on your page, it's not just for us, how many views you've had. So you can set goals for yourself on the analytics of some of the many things that we do. Come and call me and I can talk you through some more, but look at the analytics, look at the numbers, look at revenue and actions.
Well, thank you, Susan. This has been great. A lot of information in a small digestible package. You might even call it snackable.
Snackable.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. We should do this again. And I want to thank all the people who tuned in. Helen has one last question just in under the wire. Are Google updates just as effective as well?
Are Google updates just as effective as well? Google updates. I'm not a Google expert, so I'm not sure what the question is relating to.
Maybe that's to do with your My Google Business account and keeping that Google account up to date.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the best practices in generating more interest in your website and your domain is Yelp, getting a Yelp, mapping your business location, all of that. Yeah, and pay attention to the reviews. I have clients who have, and it's easy to do, have had some negative comments on reviews and have not responded. And we've seen them, right? All of us on restaurants or hotels, and you see the owners respond, and they have very often good, gentle, meaningful responses. We need to do the same and be authentic in those responses and make sure that we're taking care of business. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Call me. I'm happy to take anybody's calls or your emails. Let's chat some more where I can be helpful.
That's great. Thank you, Susan, and thank you to everyone who took the time to tune in. For those who'd like to get invitations to future webinars, I've put my email address in the chat, and you will receive a follow-up email after the webinar as well. Follow up with Susan for her 6 small firm marketing tips, and stay tuned to hear about the next webinar. Hope everyone has a great day. Bye
Thanks,
now.
Brian.